Hello, and welcome to IoT Builders, a live stream where we discuss a range of topics on the Internet of Things, from embedded devices to cloud services, all from an IoT Builder perspective. It is November 30th, and this is episode 11 of our live stream that we do weekly. And today we are at the reInvent conference in Las Vegas. I'm joined by my colleagues and co-hosts here in Las Vegas. Let's see who we have on the line. It looks like Nenad is there. Hey, Nenad.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, good. How's it going with you?
Yeah, yeah, excellent. Enjoying the reinvent so far.
Awesome. And Alina is on the line and actually happens to be sitting next to me. Hey, Alina.
Hey, hi then. Hi everyone. Enjoying reInvent as well.
Awesome, awesome. And I see that Syed is on the line as well. Hey, Syed.
Hi, morning, guys.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. And my name is Dan Gross. I'm a senior developer advocate for FreeRTOS and AWS IoT. And as I mentioned, we're here at reInvent this week, which is the AWS conference that features cloud services, new announcements, and for us, what we care about is IoT. And so we have some booth presence, we have some speaking sessions, and there's been a few announcements as well that are quite interesting. So yeah, maybe we could do a little roundtable and see how the conference is going so far with everybody. Hey, Syed, how have your talks been so far?
Yeah, so they've been really great, very exciting. A lot of customers with energetic questions, jam-packed session, and exciting announcements, and obviously those questions of those announcements coming to us. It was great, really great.
Awesome, awesome. Alina, I know you had a demo yesterday that you gave.
Yeah. So I had a really exciting demo yesterday on building observability for IoT solutions. And it was really great, very engaging. It was at the Modern Applications and Open Source Zone in Venetian. And today I will be there as well to talk a little bit about AWS Lambda and how to use Lambda in IoT solutions. So yeah, it's really, really exciting.
Awesome, and I know Nenad, you've been showing the driving demo in the booth, and how's that been going?
Oh yeah, no, it was excellent. A lot of customers came by, kind of to test drive, which is awesome, and kind of get introduced to the technology we used. So yeah, it was super exciting.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, and for myself, I had a really nice session, which was a chalk talk on FreeRTOS on Monday, and my my colleague Tan Moisen also um, was the co-speaker in that session, and it was really nice turnout, a lot of good engagement in that session, and some good whiteboarding that we did. So yeah, that was exciting as well. Okay, so yeah, so we're about halfway through reInvent. We've got another couple of days. If you happen to be at the show and you're in the expo, we'll be around at the expo at the AWS Community Developer Lounge. I think all of us are pulling some shifts on booth duty, and love to meet you if you come by. I'll also mention some of us are will be at the Modern Applications and Open Source booth on the third floor of the Venetian as well. So swing by there. They have. What is that called? The claw machine?
Oh, yes. The claw machine that leads to great prices. And they've also got a dancing machine, which is actually pretty cool. You win prizes there as well, if you get it right. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so hey, let's talk about some of the announcements that have come up. There's been a number of them. Our our VP of IoT, Yasser Al Saeed, he gave a keynote speech on Monday, and he pointed out a few of the new announcements that are relevant for IoT. Anyone want to start with one of those? Maybe Saeed. Oh, or Alina.
Yeah, I think I've been absolutely impressed by the announcements at reInvent this year. At least a few of them from my engineering experience have been things that the developer community has been missing for quite a while. And here I'm talking, of course, about MQTT 5, which has been absolutely a great announcement. So as I've been at the booth, we've had automotive customers coming by, and some of them didn't actually know that MQTT 5 was out of preview and actually GA, and they were super happy about that, and super happy that they can now start building on that. So yeah, I think I have a suspicion that telco customers will also be absolutely thrilled to hear about the MQTT 5 support, because they've also been waiting for it for a while for the user services platform. So yeah, that's totally thrilling. And the other release that totally blew my mind was the serverless OpenSearch. I mean, not needing to manage the configuration and not needing to scale the instances up as you need it for OpenSearch is just amazing, I would say. I mean, yeah, I've been using OpenSearch in a previous life, let's put it this way, and we've had as a team to manage scaling it up, and it's not been fun. Also, version upgrades have also not been fun. So now, with the serverless release, I think developers are in for a treat there.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, I was excited to hear about the serverless OpenSearch as well. In a previous life, I managed some search instances, and it can be, it can be quite involved. So having a managed search that scales at the petabyte level is amazing and really useful for developers. Cool. Yeah. So for MQTT 5, what are some of the capabilities that you get over version 3 in IoT Core with MQTT 5? Um, I I know that telcos are really excited about this, and in the automotive space too, right?
This is something that I've been hearing quite a lot from our customers. I would say one of the things that is important for them, let's say in the automotive context, is the request response feature of the MQT 5. That's
Ah,
something that I've heard a lot of customers like, oh, we want to address a specific vehicle and have that kind of a request response methodology. You could have done that with MQTT 3.11, but it's like, on top of implementation. So additional things. And now you get this out of the box. And another thing that it's also interesting is that you have subscriptions that are basically enclosed, so you can have like let's say 4 or 5 device, something similar to what we have like with thing groups, more or less. So you can have like a couple of subscriptions, and then you can target those specific subscriptions. So even though, let's say, devices are listening to the same topic, you can kind of group them and then address them specifically. So those are the two features that I've heard from the automotive customers that they were like really interested in using.
oh, okay, cool. Yeah, those are great features. Okay, so
Mhm.
so that's cool. So we've got
I think,
MQTT 5. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. Sorry, I was basically talking and I was just muted earlier. So I think one of the two key features which I also would like to mention is we basically announced AWS IoT called device location. Um, and it's a service I think which is easily integrated with Amazon location service. So one of my customer based out of Netherlands, PostNL, they heavily use location services, and they were very happy to see this AWS IoT code device location integration, and utilize this in real life use case. So that was great. The other thing which I actually used in my chalk talk yesterday as well, which was AWS IoT Device Defender integration with AWS Security Hub. It is a great feature where we actually have a single pane of glass of Security Hub, having all the events of detect and audit coming into Security Hub without much heavy lifting for customers. So obviously, if you're looking at all of your AWS account and making sure that you want a single view in terms of what events are happening, not just on IoT as well as other AWS services, this will basically bring a single pane of glass or any security advisor or a person looking at from a security perspective to just have IoT as well as other services on a security hub. So integration of Device Defender with AWS Security Hub is another great feature which I loved.
Yeah, I really liked that announcement too. I wasn't necessarily aware that we didn't have some kind of integration with that already, but now that we do, I think that's really useful because Security Hub, if you're familiar with other types of security alerts and things in your infrastructure, adding the IoT devices into that mix just makes a lot of sense. You don't have to go to different places to look for security alerts and things like that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, and another thing that I actually really, really liked is this Amazon managed permissions, which was also released. So this is the Amazon verified permissions, which is now on preview. So for developers who work with IoT applications, they so far needed to implement the fine-grained authorization at application level. So you spent a lot of time building that, whereby now it's actually a managed service. I mean, of course, we'd have to look into how it works. Now it's in preview. So I think it's also worth application developers to actually have a look at that for building, for using it for managed permissions and fine-grained authorization control.
Yeah, I like that. That also looks like a really great announcement. Again, something we have to investigate and see how it all works. But very exciting. Let's see. There was one other announcement, I believe, that Yasser had in his talk, and now it escapes me what that was.
Yeah, I think it was for the Twin Maker, the Thing Graph.
Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
TwinMaker has a graph. So what?
The
Tell us more
knowledge,
about that.
the knowledge graph. Yeah. So this is also really interesting. So now you can kind of contextualize the data, which means like you can capture the relationship between data points and have that kind of like high level view of the semantic of data across disparate sources, right? So that's something that it kind of makes it easier for you to view what's happening. So that reduces like time to resolution and so forth.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that looked really great too. Something that I noticed just looking through all the reInvent announcements, and tell me if this is if you all think this is interesting. But I saw that there's a new feature of AWS Lambda called Snap Start, which is a feature for the Java runtime, the Corretto 11, and basically it allows for reduced time on cold starts of the JVM essentially for Lambda functions. I thought that looked really cool and could be
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
actually really helpful for Lambdas that are triggered maybe by the rules engine, say.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think with languages like Java, the cold starts have always been a problem. I mean, customers literally have been saying that they've moved to Python from Java just because of the cold starts and the impact that the cold starts had on their application. And I think in time, all the feature releases for Lambda have tried more or less to reduce the cold start, especially for languages like Java. And this one totally blew our mind. I mean, I think it was something like a 10-time reduction in the cold start time. And also, if you watch the reInvent keynote from Peter DeSantis, you'll see how interesting it is to understand how it works behind the scenes. So it's something around the initialization time of Lambda, which previously for every function was like a separate step that had to be performed for each of the functions. And now there is a mechanism to cache parts of that initialization and not have to run it for every Lambda function again and again, which is absolutely amazing. So it's kind of like a different level of caching, and it's really super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's a bit like, I think there was the hotspot VM in Java, which is, very, very, similar, where you get the the quick just in time, compilation and all of that. But yeah, this snap start looks really cool for lambdas. So I liked that announcement. Anything else jump out to any of you on some of the announcements or things we've seen or heard at reInvent here?
One of the things that I really liked from Yasser's presentation is that at the end he kind of mentioned that we have like three things in order to kind of deliver successful IoT project, right? And this goes into line what we were been talking here at the IoT Builders. And like number one is be curious. So he talked about exploring different opportunities with IoT and how they can solve a problem for businesses. So yeah, to kind of see what technologies are there and understand how they can impact, and then innovate. Yeah, basically embrace how IoT technologies are changing how we work. So yeah, that I think it's a excellent message. And then the third one, which is something that really resonated with me, is kind of this collaborate. And this is what we talked here at the IoT Builders. It's like we need different parties, different expertise to come together in order to deliver that solution. So he talks about leveraging the solutions, leveraging the partners, the customers. So everybody should come together in order to kind of deliver that unique experience for the customer when it comes to IoT. So I really love that. It was like at the very end of the keynote. So I really love that message. Not sure what you guys think about it.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a great message, and I think it's exactly like you said. What we've been talking about on IoT Builders is that it's so hard to do an IoT solution on your own. You need help, or either partners, or different technology. Um, as part of the overall solution. I think everybody that we've had on the show and that we've been talking amongst ourselves, kind of agrees that that's that is a one of the unique aspects of IoT is the collaboration part of things. So, yeah, that was really good. If you want to catch Yasser's keynote, it is on YouTube. I think you can probably just search for AWS IoT Yasser, on YouTube and reInvent 2022. It would probably come up, and really great talk, and also a partner was on at the keynote too, out from LG, and so there was some talk about collaboration there as well.
Yeah, also one service I think I should mention, and I saw this and I was literally very, very, very pleased um, to see this in real life. I mean, AWS SimSpace Weaver. It is a compute service to run real-time spatial simulation in the cloud. So I was thinking about this with collaborating and augmenting with IoT. So if you are in reInvent, pop into the Expo Center and you will be able to see this demo. Is one of the actually the partner actually built a New York City city simulation with connected ambulances and emergency vehicles. And it was really great to see that they were basically simulating tens and thousands of connected vehicles to show how you basically can leverage if you basically want to use IoT with using our AWS SimSpace Weaver service to integrate and have a response, whether it's
Wow.
emergency response or whether it's a connected vehicle or is it a jam or some sort of accident or flooding or any sort of accident. You can basically simulate it without basically testing in real time as a disaster, but you can basically simulate it with 10,000 people, 15,000 people by using the service without any capacity issue. So it's a great service to augment with IoT use case.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't even hear about that one, but I'm looking at it now. AWS SimSpace Weaver. So
Yeah.
I see, allows you to run large scale spatial simulations in the cloud. Oh my gosh, that looks really cool.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you can simulate, like you said, yeah, ambulances and emergency response, traffic, all kinds of things, all simulated in the
Yeah.
uh, in the cloud. And
And
yeah, to your point, yeah, that would be pretty interesting to incorporate an IoT aspect to that, right? We talk about smart cities and um, you know uh, those kinds of things, be it trash or power or other types of things. Yeah, that'd be a neat integration, huh?
I think it will also be cool that, because obviously you can map this with Amazon location service. So imagine having a simulated environment of London, right? And where basically you need to do disaster recovery or any sort of thing. And you can run this with the location services with the device location feature we just released. So which means that a device basically could be sending a data to IoT core. You send it to device location, and then you have SimViewer simulating it, the location and geolocation of the device or the car or the asset or whatever. So this would be really handy to augment in reality.
Absolutely. Could be a good way too to stage a solution, right? Say you had say you had a smart city solution that you were planning to roll out. Well, instead of doing a field test and rolling it out to however many devices in the field, you could actually do a simulation of it first to see
Exactly.
if there
Exactly.
were any issues, things you didn't quite account for, before those devices actually get rolled out to the field.
I mean, in fact, you can actually use this to simulate a new infrastructure you're building. I mean, London is pretty crowded, and the spaces are very massive asset. So imagine that you need to basically build a, I don't know, large scale building, right? A skyscraper. But then you need to also think about simulation in terms of airspace. You need to think about simulation of crowd. You need to think about in terms of air quality and whatnot, sustainability. So you can simulate all that, and make a proposal when you go to UK government to say that, okay, you're creating this product or this building, and you have this product to simulate what it would look like in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And I think this is a great service to augment with AWS IoT.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of that SimCity game, right?
Yeah,
Where you could do SimCity, but basically, for real.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that one.
One more thing that I wanted to also mention, a conversation I had yesterday, which was quite interesting around Device Defender. So I was speaking with the PM of Device Defender, and he was actually telling me, and I agree with that actually. a lot of customers and a lot of the developers in the developer community imagine Device Defender as just a security service, whereby actually it does a lot of, connectivity resilience monitoring, and, it helps for observability as well. So it shows number of connected, disconnected devices, reasons for disconnects, and so on. And there will be a lot more coming up in Device Defender also around, connectivity resilience, which is great to know. And another addition, it's again another misconception that a lot of customers have about Device Defender, is the need to run a Device Defender agent on your devices. So this is not a must. And also for customers who can't do this, who can't have an agent on their devices, they should still look at Device Defender, because it has a cloud component, which is actually quite powerful, not just for security, but also for observability and connectivity resilience. So for me, this was a really interesting fact, and I just thought I should mention it.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. Um, I do want to shout out my public reference customer, Jane.be. They are actually a massive user of using metrics in Device Defender to basically send this data, and they're using more Device Defender as more for monitoring tool rather than the security aspects of thing. So it's a great shout out. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, you have cloud side metrics, you have custom metrics, and obviously you have our own provided cloud side metrics as standard. And this customer of mine actually uses custom metrics to send it as a monitoring rather than the security aspects of thing, and it's been working for them since launch. Very amazing. And they're utilizing ML detect aspect security profile to do this. So yeah, it's a great point to mention. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we've had some pretty interesting conversations at the booths, and on the expo floor, and in our sessions and things like that. One that kind of uh, that stood out to me, which is kind of an amusing example, I thought, was somebody I was talking to was interested in exploring IoT solutions around evaporation and things like that, and I probed a little bit more as to what that was applicable to, and it turns out he was in the distillery business, and they were making cognac, and wondering, how much of the so-called angel's share was leaking from the barrels, and how to do some tracking, and maybe somehow reduce some of the so-called angel's share of the cognac from the barrels. And I thought that was really fascinating, because here's a business that's, how many hundreds of years old, and now looking at IoT to potentially make their processes more efficient, and look at ways to increase yield, and that sort of thing. So I thought that was pretty fascinating, and I think we've heard a lot of interesting use cases this week so far.
Oh, and another thing from the modern applications and open source, yesterday, Fargate was turned 5 years old, and there was a little celebration for Fargate. Um,
That's right. That's right. It was. And I think Nenad has a really becoming picture on Twitter with celebration glasses and all.
Yes, yesterday we were eating cake and muffins to celebrate. It was awesome. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so there are experts today at the modern application and open source area for, EKS, ECS, Lambda, Fargate, as well as us for IoT. So it could be interesting if you are at reInvent to pop by and have a chat.
Cool. Yeah, and I also heard that the IoT workshop that we had that featured ExpressLink. If you remember, last week we had Lucio Di Giasio on the program, and they were planning to do this hands-on workshop using IoT ExpressLink. And I wasn't able to attend, but I heard lots of feedback from people that came around the booth that it was an excellent workshop. The hardware was provided to the participants, which was essentially a host processor with an ExpressLink module built onto kind of a badge format to do a smart badge, and the workshop was hands-on. They learned how to use the ExpressLink module and build a solution in MicroPython. So that was pretty cool. So I saw a few of those around, and people were giving pretty good feedback on that.
I think another service which probably didn't got that much of a highlight, I think, is was AWS KMS, so external key store. Based on my experience previously with customers, some customers usually have this regulatory requirement to store their keys, encrypted keys. Sometimes, especially the government, public sector customers on either premises or outside of the cloud, and to meet these regulatory requirements, especially when the devices you have connected to AWS are in a public space and provided by public sector. And this service, AWS KMS External Key Store (XKS), I think they named it, is would be very handy for those customers in a public sector space or government organizations where they need to suffice the regulatory requirement to hold these encryption keys. This would be really good for those IoT devices to meet this criteria. I thought I mentioned that one.
Oh yeah, that looked really cool. You're right; it did kind of fly under the radar, but that looked really interesting. Yeah, another one that was in Adam's keynote was that caught my attention was AWS Supply Chain, a brand new service that was announced that adds capabilities for integration with ERP systems and allows for supply chain management, which as we know in the IoT space has been a bit of a problem for a lot of companies. Maybe some of these companies could leverage AWS supply chain to help some of the supply chain constraints and bottlenecks that we've been seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great augmentation for customers who are in supply chain or logistics to basically utilize this service and use as part of their IoT connectivity within AWS. There's another service which I think, or I should say more of a feature, which I think I really looked forward to was Amazon Inspector now can scan Lambda functions for vulnerabilities. So I know everybody probably are aware of the Log4j vulnerability a few months ago, right? And not many people got straight away notified unless obviously you were actively monitoring it. So this Amazon Inspector vulnerability management service, scanning across all your Lambda function for vulnerability is a great new feature for people basically who are utilizing and leveraging Lambda a lot. So that way they don't have to proactively look for vulnerabilities, where this service will proactively look for you and notify you on the vulnerabilities. I think this is one of the great features as well which we released.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, very much so. Let's see. I'm just kind of going through the announcements, our laundry list essentially. There's a lot, there's a lot that we announce at reInvent every year and at AWS, and a lot to keep track of. But another thing that caught my attention was Code Whisperer, which is an Amazon developer tool. And they've added some features around enterprise administrative controls, sign up and support for some new languages. Code Whisperer is a way to generate code without actually writing code, and as I understand, I only saw the beta version of it, but it's out, and now there's new capabilities that were announced this week. This is kind of an interesting area, and something that would be perhaps interesting in the IoT space to explore too. Can we generate, some embedded code with Code Whisperer? I haven't explored that, but maybe it's something we could look into. Or if any listeners have, would love to hear any feedback on that.
Yeah. Um, Similarly, another service I should mention, as you mentioned, Dan, going through the laundry list, I think this is more of a feature than a service. CloudWatch logs. So I know, most of us when we write code or debugging something on the cloud, we generally tend to look at AWS CloudWatch logs and insights and findings, so exactly what's happening. And I think this new feature of CloudWatch log, it automatically protects data by applying machine learning. Well, for example, protect sensitive data, I should say. So let's say if you wrote a lambda function and you're debugging and it basically makes a hook call into DynamoDB and then it retrieving the information, more often than not, you actually have to obviously within your code to mask it, right? Now, if you basically just do the raw data dump of the log while you're building the function, the CloudWatch feature will allow you automatically to quickly detect and basically prevent access to the sensitive data in the log, which means that you could meet the compliance perspective of organization, a PCI perspective, to say that okay, we are not basically displaying any credit card details or social security number or whatnot or email address or passwords. This will automatically get um, uh, masked off for you, and you won't have access to it to see this data. And I think this is a great feature for developers or builders out there who are building stuff, and not to worry about nitty gritty in terms of basically having these details protected, because the logs perspective will automatically logs protection from the CloudWatch. This new feature will do it for you, and I think it's a really great feature when you're building Lambda functions to do cross service testing and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. And now that we're talking about CloudWatch, I also want to mention another release of CloudWatch, which is also totally mind blowing, which is the cross account observability. So with CloudWatch, in my experience, it was always a limitation that you couldn't look at logs cross account, and a lot of customers have multiple teams. Some teams working on IoT, then some teams working on data analytics and machine learning, then some other teams doing some other infrastructure work or APIs. So those logs could not be followed cross account. And now with this new feature of CloudWatch, you can set up a centralized account, and then you can actually look for logs and tracing in all these different regions where the services are implemented. And I think this is really cool for better observability, just end to end, in your solution and in your product.
Cool. Yeah, lots of new features. And also, just some interesting dev chats too at our AWS community developer lounge. I saw a dev chat yesterday from Ed Miller, our first guest on IoT Builders many weeks ago, and he gave a dev chat on the Bear ID project and some of the technical details um, that he shared about how he built some of the AI that's behind recognizing bears for the Bear ID project. So that was a really cool dev chat. Again, in the AWS Community Developer Lounge, which is where our booth is. So if you're at reInvent and find yourself in the expo, wander over to that area and say hello. Cool. So I see that we have our friend Axel on the line. Hey Axel, how are you doing? I just invited him to speak, so it might take him a moment. We'll see if he wants to speak. Well, we'll see. Anyway, any other interesting, things you've seen at reInvent this week? Nenad?
Yeah, so one thing that I saw is that there was a basketball court. I'm not sure if you've seen those things, but this was amazing. There was a basketball court with the cameras, and you are kind of like just playing, shooting at the basket and trying to kind of get the points. But then at the same time, you have a screen and a camera, which is more or less measuring your performance, like how many points you have, what was the trajectory of your ball, and all that stuff, and kind of giving you insights as well as in real time corrections on like how you should do things in order to perform better. So this was like mind blowing to see the whole basket court that size. So that was cool.
Wow. And what group or what services were doing that?
Yeah, this was also like it was used at AWS IoT as well to kind of like communicate the data points. The KBS was used to kind of stream the video. And then of course SageMaker and machine learning, more or less, to kind of get that insights. It was pretty cool.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so maybe one thing to also sort of mention for people who have not managed to make it to reInvent this year. I mean, of course, the announcements and the blogs, they're all available for everybody to read and have a look. Also, for example, I've recorded a video of the demo that I showed yesterday at the Modern Applications and Open Source Zone around observability in IoT solutions. And this is on our YouTube channel called IoT Builders. So, if you want to watch that, you can have a look in our YouTube channel. And also, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you will get to get notifications for new videos that we upload there. It's developer-focused videos around how to do things with IoT, in IoT, and with AWS IoT.
Yeah, thanks for that, Alina. That's a good point. Check out our YouTube channel, IoT Builders. That Syed set up, we've got videos there. And if you're not at reInvent, don't feel left out. There's a lot of material that you can go over on the web. Just do some searches and you'll find it for sure. But cool. Okay. Anything else to add from anyone? All right. Well, we'll cut it a little bit short this week. We've got to run off and do some booth duty and meet up with some other IoT builders. But it's been great chatting. Glad we were able to catch up on some of the new announcements at reInvent, especially related to IoT. Thanks Nenad, thanks Alina, thanks Syed.
Thanks guys.
Thank you.
See you then in a couple of minutes.
All right, see you at the show. All right, so long, and we'll be back next week too. So remember to tune in at the same time, and we'll talk to you then. Bye bye.